Hi guys, I'm Twasin. I'm doing economics and business management. I'm my second year. Could you guys maybe start off by introducing yourself and we can move on about the placement that you guys did?
Of course, so I do business management final year. I did my placement abroad in Australia, in Sydney. I worked as a event coordinator and administrative director. So what happened there is I was working for kind of an event industry. I worked in the project management industry and also the production side of it, so that we were managing the mathematical side and also the legal and budgetary constraints in that factor. And originally I was an intern before. I was a project management intern, but after about 4 months I was able to be promoted to my event coordinator role, which was fantastic.
It's amazing.
So I'm Ellen, I'm fourth year as well. I just do business management, and I completed my placement year at Camp UK, which is a motorhome company based in Lincoln, which is just about an hour from here. It was obviously a little bit smaller scale. It was an SME, so it was kind of like a family run kind of business. And I was basically doing a marketing role, so I would be in charge of the social media, taking pictures and uploading all the motorhomes to the website. And I had various little jobs within the role, so yeah, I really enjoyed it.
That's amazing, guys. As we can tell, you guys have covered a breadth of experience in your roles. What specific experience would you guys say that you are most proud of during your time in your placement?
Yeah, I'll go first. So after I was fortunate, I'm somehow amazingly promoted. They gave me a lot more responsibility, which felt fantastic, how you were able to get so much out of your placement. And one of those was we did an event for Sydney Airport, where, like, for example, they had a brand new luxury precinct opened. And one of the roles was that all the stakeholders would come onto the party on the actual runway, and that's how I helped on site and also beforehand, making sure everything was running correctly. And one of the scenarios that actually didn't go entirely to plan, I had to be the person who was only one there for my company. I had to resolve it, even though it was way above what I was required to do. And I was thinking, hang on, it's a perfect example of you can actually do these things. You're shaking hands with people way above you and you're sorting out these issues which are way above your responsibility. But it proves you can do them. So that's my example.
That's amazing.
So within my time at Camp UK, we actually decided to nominate ourselves for the Lincolnshire Business of the Year award. So me and a few of my colleagues got really involved with writing all the applications. So I basically wrote one about our managing director Dean, all the things he'd done throughout the past few years and what made him an amazing manager. So then we were able to attend this amazing award ceremony. Not only did I win the category that I wrote the application for, but we also won the overall Lincolnshire Business of the Year award. So it was a nice little highlight, and it felt like we all kind of came together as a team to celebrate such an amazing opportunity at the time. So yeah, it was good.
That's amazing. It's just the smaller wins that lead up to the big wins.
Yeah.
Perfect. So definitely when you commit to a placement, it's all about moving your life to another place as well. So when you guys made that particular decision for yourself, whether be it Lincoln or whether be it halfway across the world, how did you guys reach that decision making process, and how would you rate that decision now looking back?
Well, I originally did my choice to go to the other side of the world because I kind of want to put myself in a scenario where I had to rely on myself, and that kind of expose you to these opportunities because you have to take the action, otherwise you're in trouble, essentially. So being thrown to the other side of the world where you're in a completely alien environment certainly helps with that. My choice to actually go to Australia was more because, first of all, because of personal choice. I love Australia. It's fantastic weather. I've got my lovely family over there. Also, I had a lot of opportunities in the field I was interested in regarding project management. So that was my personal reason.
Perfect. That's amazing.
I guess I was kind of set on staying in the UK. I guess you could say it's a little bit easier. You don't have to worry about visas, language barriers, things like that. So I was more, I'd rather just focus on getting an opportunity, whether it be here in the UK for ease, or I was open to opportunities basically. So I applied all over the UK really, London, Manchester. It just happened to be that I ended up in Lincoln really, so it was a completely new city. I didn't really know what to expect, but I found some university girls that were looking for an extra person in their house, and I basically just ended up living with them. They're still like some of my best friends to this day, so it kind of worked out moving to a completely unique city, but yeah, I actually really enjoyed it once I got there.
That's amazing. So I think the common theme is that the people that you meet around that particular time, that's what defines your experience, huh?
Definitely.
That's amazing. Moving on to the next question. I think you guys have already covered like how you guys adapted to the working cultures and everything, but like it's something of an individual question myself. How would you guys rate the difference in just like from Sheffield to your respective cities? Because Sheffield in and on itself, I think that it has that unique blend of what it is. But like, how did you guys? How do you think that the new city differs from your experience on that?
Well, it's certainly a lot warmer. I'll start with that. Every day is summer. It's Bristol, no rain whatsoever. So nice. Also, it's an international city, whereas Sheffield, I feel, is more of a large town. Sydney is, it's huge. It's concrete jungle, and it's got such diversity. You've got the business centre, you've got the financial district, but we've also got the Blue Mountains, the rainforest, and beaches there, which is fantastic. And also, I just found that, how do I put it? It's just got more of a fast, exciting, bustle life, and it gives you a realistic idea of like what it'd be like, for example, to live in London maybe, and give you an idea of what city life would actually be like in comparison to Sheffield.
That makes sense.
I guess mine was probably the complete opposite. I'd say Lincoln's probably even smaller than Sheffield, so it was kind of strange adjusting to it, and definitely harder to kind of meet new people. But I'd say everyone at work was really nice, and it's actually such a beautiful city. It's got a cathedral, like cobbled streets, so it's really nice to just experience somewhere completely new. So yeah, I'd say it was like a great experience, but yeah, certainly a bit more bustling and stuff going on in Sheffield compared to Lincoln.
That's great, guys. Happy for you. Moving on to the next question. So whenever you take up a new role, specifically in placements, it's very evident that you guys are going to be faced up with different sorts of challenges, be it personal, be it professional. What were you guys think that your key challenges were, and like how did you guys go about like overcoming them?
Yeah, so I think mine was, like I said before, the massive step up in responsibility. One thing you're kind of assisting with managing these projects and stuff, or these segments, and next thing you know, you're actually being the person in charge of it, and you're overseeing people. That's an entirely new step I wasn't used to in a career field. And examples of this is, for example, when I was like responsible first thing in the morning, bumping up, like putting these construction sites on top of the building. And very, very niche time constraint of this horrendous 5-minute elevator going up and down, making sure everything goes to plan. What happens if things don't go to plan? How are you going to make sure the client's happy, make sure your bosses are happy? And whilst it's stressful, it was such a good eye-opener in that regard. And also, it was nice to see kind of like able to mould people below you. For example, some of them were interns like me, and some of them were junior staff. And I was able to see like how can I actually make sure they're enjoying themselves whilst also getting the most out of their experience like myself. And that was quite nice to see.
That's very inspiring.
So yeah, we actually had 3 like annual events at Camp UK. So we'd hold these events for our like loyal customers. It would just involve lots of entertainment, some food. So I was kind of thrown in the deep end. I started in July. I had to organise one of these for November time, a kind of firework weekend. So obviously it was my first time kind of doing anything like that. I was completely out of my depth. I think I managed pretty well, but there was obviously a few things that went wrong. I messed up the vegetarian list. Not everyone had enough food, so luckily it felt like a disaster at the time. But going forward, well, luckily everyone managed to scoop together. The MD's wife managed to find some more vegetarian sausages, and the day was kind of saved. But when stuff goes wrong like that, you can kind of learn from it next time. So the following 2 events I organised, I made sure I had a list of everyone who was vegetarian, what they needed, etc. So that was just a little example of how you can kind of learn from the mistakes and challenges and move forward with them in the future, I guess.
That's very inspiring as well, because learning from your mistakes and how you implement them going on forward. I feel like that's what placement teaches you as well.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
great. Yes. If I were to like add on to that question, when it comes to this challenges that you guys faced in workplaces and everything, how did you feel that like how supportive your colleagues were in terms of overcoming them, and what support network that you guys have at that time?
I was very fortunate with Team Event because it's a very small company, consisting of maybe about 20, 25 people, and we're all very close knit. We're all of us similar age rates, and we're very interpersonal, where all of us were looking over one specific role. So we kind of all, maybe one project would have 5 of us at a time, so we're very close together, always working together, and became quite close over time. So if there's any concerns we had, we could just go to each other, like, how do we resolve this issue? And even our business hours, we're always there for each other for social events. So it became quite a nice experience for me. It wasn't like a large corporation where you just know a few set of people. It's, you know, everyone there, you know, managing director, you know, everyone all different levels, and you know them by a first name basis, and it's just felt nice, you know, it wasn't horrible in a sense.
That's great.
Yeah, I feel like mine was pretty similar. I think Camp UK had something like 50 employees. It was kind of like small, close-knit. It felt like kind of family orientated, and the managing director, he basically organised loads of events, both like in and outside of work. So I managed to do an escape room in like my first week there. I was really enjoying it. We did like employee of the month, so all those kind of things kind of helped us feel a bit more close knit, like within the work environment. We also did things outside of work, like we went bowling, pub quizzes, we like went walking in the peaks. We like signed up to the Lincoln 10K, a few of us. So there was loads of kind of events that kind of meant we're all kind of like a support network for each other, and yeah, it just felt, as Matt says, kind of like really nice, yeah, compared to maybe like a really huge organisation where no one's really knows each other, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's great. Seems like support was always available to you guys, and that turned into like a family environment.
And just one thing I wanted to add, because it's such a small community, a lot of those connections we still have now, we still talk to them, which is so nice, even if we're in different time zones. Like, we can always feel we can rely on them for advice, and vice versa, which definitely makes the final year a lot easier, that's for sure.
That's great that even after placement you still hold on to the connections.
Yeah, definitely. Same here. It's just nice to have just made a bit more of a network for yourself through doing a placement.
That's amazing, guys. I think moving on to the next questions, I had more idea. I wanted to get more clarity about the working environment that you guys were working on. So how would you guys say that the working environment was in your role?
I would say it was, in terms of Australian environments, quite relaxed and very friendly people. However, in reality, everyone had a very specific job role they had to do for a certain project. So at the end of the day, we were very, very serious, and we had to make sure that we had very small time constraints. So it was very constant bang bang. During summer, which is of course the winter period in the UK, that was our busiest time. So we'd probably be managing 3 to 4 projects per person. But in contrast, it'd be probably 20 projects going on at a time. So it was very, very busy and can be at times quite stressful.
Yeah, I'd say I definitely had like time constraints on quite a lot of my projects. I'd be obviously with these upcoming events, or there'd be a magazine advert that needs to go out in a week's time, examples like that. But the work environment, like, it was very like close knit. Like, I'd be chatting with the managing director, asking what he wanted to like go in the newsletter, etc. So it was kind of small. Like, I still had a lot of responsibility. Like, I was the only person in the marketing department, but everyone else would kind of chip in and like give me a helping hand, or if they needed a poster or something made for the little accessory shop, then I'd jump straight on that. So yeah, it felt like everyone kind of had each other's backs, and it was, yeah, just kind of a friendly kind of working atmosphere, I'd say.
That's amazing. So when you go about meeting these people on the first time, how did you guys go about like approaching them in terms like socially, before like forming this situation of the network? Like, how did you guys approach them and like build that social connection, that first step?
I think it was just more of a simple action of going up to them, big smile on your face, introduce yourself, make a point of remembering their names, just find some things like similarities. If you have anything you want to ask them, just be quite upfront with it. Obviously, don't take advantage of them of their time. Just say, I'm very interested in your role, for example, in project management or your logistical centres, or managing certain time schedules and budget constraints. with this specific project. If you have time, I'd really appreciate having some time so that I can sit with you. Or if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. It's just those things that you're able to kind of like, okay, they know who you are. This is more relevant for a smaller company because it's so few of you, but it lets you know that, okay, if something does come up, they'll send you to come to them, which is, it opens up so many doors, as in the case for me, in the past 3 months went from an intern to actually be promoted, so it does show that those networks can help. Maybe not as fast, but
It does help eventually, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's similar to Matt. Just kind of go in with an open mind, be approachable, like introduce yourself to people. Like as scary as it is, they're just as interested to know about you as well. So you just have to go in with such an open mind and just get to know people there. Like make conversation, like find things you're interested in, and then yeah, as your time progresses, you can ask each other bits and bobs what you need around the workplace, etc. Like, and I think yeah, it just really helps to solidify those relationships. So yeah, so you can still be in touch with them to this day.
That's great, guys. So obviously, taking that step from being in an academic setting to a professional setting, did you guys find yourself using a lot of skills and development that you guys got from your course into your workplace?
yeah, absolutely. So in first year we did a lot of Excel and accountancy modules, and that helped so much when I was managing the more financial side of the company. There was only 3 of us in the department, but I was only more responsible for managing the invoices and keeping up to date with certain budget costs of certain projects, and it just helped me navigate it through so much easier, and let me learn some steps which have taken other interns a lot longer to do. And also surprisingly, the more interpersonal skills, I found that a lot of it I can like transform and translate over, and I found that I was able to identify like, okay, this person handles this specific kind of like approach better than others. So sometimes you have to be more autocratic, whereas sometimes you have to be more more friendly, more deprecatory, depending on the person. Maybe in a very important client, or maybe a scenario where you don't have time to be nice. You have to be just straight to the point. Or yeah, that's my example.
That's great.
Yeah, I feel like I was similar. Like we did plenty of marketing modules first and second year, so it kind of opened me up to a lot of ideas that did come in handy in the workplace, like stuff such as target audience, like realising that a lot of people that have the money to buy motorhomes are actually older people, so then maybe using Facebook over Instagram to target them and send them out messages is all kind of stuff that came in handy. Stuff like the 4 Ps, targeting, was all useful. And then, yeah, to do with the events as well, we did a few things to do with project management back in second year, so that also came in really handy when I ended up organising some of these events.
That's great, guys. So, how would you say that like implementing the skills, did it come naturally, or was it something that was derived from the situation? Was it situational, or was it more like intuitive? How you went about implementing these?
I'd say it's a mix. Sometimes it came naturally, other times you had to kind of like seek it out, go through your notes, surprisingly, from your laptop and go, oh, actually, no, that can be relevant, and you can pitch that to your boss, and it could work out, surprisingly, and it actually helps you, I'd say, when you're coming back to uni as well, because like you go, oh, actually, no, this was relevant in my case study. So you can now, when you go back into uni, you can also go to these lectures and go, okay, I can see how this is actually relevant from my experience last year.
Yeah, I think it's similar. Like if I wanted to make a little bit of a marketing plan or like a strategy for social media, like going forward, I could just flick back through my notes and grab a few like ideas that had slipped my mind through being there, and then yeah, make like quite a unique idea that I could bring up in one of our little marketing meetings to the MD, who would usually find the insight like really useful.
That's great. On Matt's point, like you mentioned coming back to uni, so I was curious like how big the jump was when working in a year in a professional setting and then being put back in uni. How was the transition when you came back to uni?
That's a really good point. For me, especially when you're international and abroad, they don't tell you how big a jump and how big a transition is. So many people I've met from my whilst I was over there who were also in the same situation. They told me how much it was such a shock to come back. They've gone from this beautiful, like sunny Australia to their cold countries like in Denmark all the way, and they're like, oh, okay, this is what we're back to. But it's nice because you now know you have this group of friends there to support you. But there's also, like I said before, you have the experiences from last year which you can have apply into your studying, and it helps you get into a routine of knowing actually, you know what, let's not do it the assignment the night before. Let's make sure we do a plan, make sure that we do set stones, work at actual reasonable hours, so we can actually tackle our final year appropriately, and not. It helps you kind of do a mindset of, okay, what the research and the steps you have to do in the company you can implement into your routine at uni. So yeah.
That's cool.
I feel like it was a little bit nerve-wracking, as Matt kind of says, like, it's such a drastic jump from working like 9 to 5 back to like uni life. It kind of feels like kind of a pressure off in a little bit of a way. I was obviously a bit worried about not knowing anyone, but through doing jobs such as placement ambassador, content creator, it's meant I've like met people on my course. I've also joined sports clubs and stuff, so you meet loads of people through that. It's kind of a little bit like being in first year all over again, because a lot of my friends have kind of left already. But yeah, so I think once you give it a month or so, it feels like it's completely normal to be back again. But yeah, it's true, the time management I have now, like, I'd much rather get up a little bit earlier in the morning. Like, second year I probably wouldn't be up before 12, and now here I am, I can get up at 8, 9, and I can be in the library, like, to do a full day, and have the evenings off to myself. So I think it's worthwhile, like, you learn a lot of skills that are useful in coming back to uni as well. So yeah, it wasn't as daunting as I first thought.
That's great, guys.
And just one thing I wanted to add as well, when you're like a final year coming back and you're worried like, oh, should I join a new society, you'll be surprised by how accommodating they are. When I joined rowing, I was, as a novice man, I was worried that I'd be the old guy there, when actually it's quite a nice diverse split, and they are very welcome, and it's not, and there'll be a lot of people you actually do know who are still at uni doing masters, PhDs, or just come back from placement yourself, so you won't be alone. And that was a very reassuring thought, just to add from the previous point.
That's reassuring, guys. Yes, since we were talking about the skills that you guys implemented and developed during your placement roles, how do you guys think is it going to benefit you in your future career, and if so, in what ways do you guys see yourself using these even?
Yeah, so aside from the transferable skills that we already established on, my role, I've always wanted to do a project management role, Scrum Master in Data Sciences, which is kind of like what my future has always been planned for, albeit my time in Australia was in events, and I have no intention of doing that. Not because it was a horrible industry, it's just not something I can imagine doing long hours for when I'm 35. But if I was going to transition to data sciences, it's a lot of those skills I can implement, and I feel I'm very set in my future because of those experiences. And additionally, with the modules that I now chosen, last year helped me realise actually these are the modules I want to do, and how can I use it as a stepping stone to make sure that my career has got the best possible chance of being developed.
So I feel like going into future career, not having worked in a company for a year, you gain lots more professionalism, organisation, time management, as we've mentioned. So not only are those useful in selling yourself in an interview, but actually in a graduate job, you can figure out what, like how to organise yourself better, manage the workload better. I guess from working in a smaller company, I've maybe realised I wouldn't mind working in a bigger company, potentially like a marketing agency. So it kind of opens your mind up to ideas going forward, what you actually might want to do, what you don't want to do. That's why placements are so useful, I guess, to actually figure out where you might go in your future career.
That's great. On that note, I think my last question would be, as someone who's already actively looking for placements, and you guys have done placements yourself, what advice would you guys have to people who are just seeking industrial placement years right now?
Just plan and make the use of the university resources. Honestly, the amount of resources I have from people who have come up to me or cold emailed me saying, oh, what can I do, all these things. I said, they're all on the website, and you can be amazed how many resources are available outside the uni that are free, that can help you improve. For example, finding, if you want to go abroad, there's so many websites like, for example, Going Global, and alternative websites that help you establish what visa requirements you have to do, what are the kind of cultures over there, what jobs are available to people, and what steps you have to do. And also helps you identify if you're unsure what you want to do, you can help plan, okay, what steps do I need to implement what research do I need to do, potentially maybe some skill courses you want to improve upon, maybe some networking events outside the uni and inside the uni you can take part in and ask people questions with mentors and alumni at university which you can ask questions to, and they'll be more than happy to answer your questions. That just helps you kind of get this idea of, is it right for me, which will likely will be, because even if it isn't the best experience, you'll have so many things come out of it which will help you improve as a person.
Yeah, I'd say, like, going forward, like if you're considering a placement, I guess, which I think is a great opportunity, like if you were considering it, definitely start applying. I'd say start applying as early as possible. I think that gives you the most opportunity to get one. But yeah, as Matt says, you'll learn so many things throughout the year. Like as we've said, whether it's something you want to do as much in future or something actually maybe I don't want to do that. You're gonna learn loads of things from it anyway. And yeah, if you'd rather look at an SME, maybe use LinkedIn potentially on the smaller scale. You can message businesses personally, ask them, oh, are you interested in taking on a placement student? Or if you're looking at one of the bigger companies, Rate My Placement, Bright Network, all those kind of websites will help you to get the kind of job that you're after.
That's great, guys. I think we're more or less out of the script, but I think I had some sort of a personal question myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in and on itself, placements itself, when you make that decision that yes, I am going to take a placement, and when you go through that entire application process, how do you advise people to stick with that? Because obviously the process in and on itself, it's stressful and it's daunting. And how do you advise candidates to stay focused and stay motivated during that time?
Well, a good example is that I know quite a few people who are currently applying, and they're doing it where they're doing ridiculous applicants a week, and it's almost burning them out. So I've always told them to put a little plan in place where they do maybe 10 to 15 applicants a week, and they stick to that throughout the entirety of their academic course, and that way they'll finally get through, rather than trying to do as many as possible and burning out. And also not for them to be deterred, put off when they don't get any results in January, February time, because I know so many people who got their placements in May, June time, last minute, but it was the best things that ever happened to them. And also just making sure you are actually researching every single company, because the amount of times people have sent me a covering letter or whatnot to a certain company, and it looks like they copy and pasted it, and they will know, and you might as well not send them one, because you really have to tailor it to know that you actually researched them.
Yeah, it's definitely quality over quantity. I think they're gonna look at that more and see you more as an individual, whether you look at some of their values on their website, pop those into your application, how you have those values, will give you a little bit of an edge. I'd also say don't be put off. We probably both applied to probably 40 plus places, and you get a lot of rejections, especially from the super competitive companies, but you just have to stay resilient, stay focused. I only found mine in March, which is still a little bit later in the process. I'd say as time gets on a little bit, maybe if you weren't considering SMEs before, maybe start considering them now, as they can be a good option, and some of them won't have even put their applications out yet, so it means you've still got a good chance of getting one. And wherever you end up, you're going to have a great experience, so I think just be open with what companies you're applying to, and yeah, I think you'll be successful if you stay focused with it.
And just two more things I wanted to add is that the placement doesn't have to, regarding business students, it doesn't have to be related to our course. It can be anything, as long as it's academically relevant to the university as a whole, you can do it. So if you want to go on a completely different tangent, you can. And importantly, if you're about to start and you don't feel it's actually right for you, you can choose to change. I know people on my course who have changed. They've gone to an entirely different placement and they got that role, and they were so much happier that they changed their role, and it put them miles ahead. And then I've got a job with that company. They're happy. So if you do feel unsure, obviously think about it. Don't rush to conclusions, but the option is available to you.
That's all I had to ask. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.